I see human ego as a human sort of constant and universal. That is, I see self-interest as fundamental to humans in general. That people act out of their perceived self-interest. I don't know if this has been growing. It certainly is rampant, and but I think it's always been pretty rampant.
So how do we deal with it? That's really the question. Like how do we work with it? And let's say you remove the Jews from the equation here in America, for example, by some, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the problem is that, say if you ask, as many people as sort of the establishment culture in America is doing now. I think what is being asked of the European population in America and in Europe, Western Europe especially, is that they should give up their identities. They should stop trying to have borders. They should open borders to other peoples. They should take in refugees and immigrants from everywhere, and build multicultural, multi-ethnic societies. And that is sort of the goal. That's the ideal of really. I think that this is in our culture we constantly hear the refrain: "Diversity is our strength." It's what we should be aiming at. It makes us stronger. It brings us together. But the reality is that multi-ethnic countries are not strong. They are divided ethnically. And if you ask one group to lay down their identities, to give up their identities, it would only be remotely feasible if everybody else did the same thing at the same time. And that's not going to happen. Really, that's the point. So, Dr. Laitman, what is the solution? I mean, are we saying that unity means a loss of identity, or is there a different way to unite here? I mean, how do we overcome this situation?
Well,
the wisdom of Kabbalah asserts that we have to try to bring ourselves towards connection to the point of actual love towards each other. We have to internalize that humanity is actually one thing. We ultimately are one people. Again, this is the same maxim of love covers all crimes and all differences. In fact, I think that in all religions also, these things are deeply seated, they're there, but they need to be realized. The wisdom of Kabbalah deals with the practice, how to realize it. That's the main thing about Kabbalah. It doesn't belong to Judaism or any other religion. It explains that this is a law of nature that we need to be in line with, that we need to be balanced with. And so, of course, human beings cannot find that connection by themselves. Of course, people can't connect. But as we grow and develop it from generation to generation, we grow in our ego, and people become more alienated towards each other, more different from each other, then we're going to suffer more crises throughout the planet. And also, the hatred to Jews will rise. That's an instinctive process. It doesn't even have to do in places where Jews existed. As humanity evolves, people instinctively, inherently feel that the Jews, that group possess something that is a key, something that they're hiding from us, from the world, from the rest of the world. What is it? They don't know exactly. But they have a certain suspicion towards them. They have a certain sentiment, and that eventually unfolds as hatred. In this case, I'm addressing only the Jews. The Jews need to recognize what they possess, and it's that method of human connection. And they have to first practice it on themselves. They're horribly divided in so many ways. You can even see this in American Jews, just how divided and different they are. they have to first acknowledge the model that they're supposed to serve for all nations, and then in that way they'll be able to fulfill their function in the general system, and anti-Semitism will subside. Otherwise it will grow to the point of even another kind of Holocaust. And by not wanting to make that model of connection, we are crafting a very bad future for ourselves. That's what I would say. The wisdom of Kabbalah talks about a lot more aspects of this and details. Also, with regards to ancient Babylon, what the professor said, I'd like to just point out that I talked about specifically the time of about 3,500 or 4,000 years ago, meaning before the exile of Babylon. You mentioned the ruin of the first temple and the second temple. I talked about the times even before that, times of Nimrod, not